Hey, all my Gemini friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel and Happy New Year. It is now 2024, and I'm here today to go over your January horoscope. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. This video is going to be based on whole sign Western astrology. This starts, I'm looking at Gemini rising. It's also applicable to Gemini moon as well as a Gemini sun. But when I talk about the house structure, that will be different. The house structure is based on Gemini rising. This is also applicable to anyone who has a Gemini stellium. That's 3 or more personal planets in the sign or house of Gemini. I also want to mention that this is based on the Pacific time zone. So if you have, or you're somewhere else in the world, please adjust for your location. All right, so I've pulled up my screen and I'm going to share the chart as I go through the month. I have started with the time of about 7:08 Pacific time because most of the day for me here in the Pacific, Mercury is retrograde before it starts to move direct here at about 7 o'clock in the evening. So it's been stationing at this 22 degrees for quite some time. Mercury is actually in its fall in Sagittarius. The fall is when it's in the opposite sign of its rulership. So here it's an interesting dynamic because, first of all, Mercury, when it moves direct, is going to move and go over the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Right now, Mars is conjunct the galactic center. But I think this is an important dynamic for you personally, Gemini, because this is where meditation, taking time to really sort of think about what makes you happy. The galactic center is a point in our solar system where you're able to access downloads from the quantum fields, the magnetic fields, the energetic fields. This is where, when you're taking time to be present, you can receive solutions that you had not thought of before and divine inspirations. So as your ruling planet on the first day of the year is in the sign of its fall. Now, what that means in fall, because there's also being in detriment. So when you're in fall, you're in the opposite sign of your rulership. This is where you may not feel respected, or you may feel not heard or ignored. And if we think about the idea that Gemini and Mercury rule communications, quick bits of information, it's all about our everyday activities. And here in Sagittarius, this is the domain of broad thoughts and big philosophical thoughts. So you could feel that you aren't taken seriously in this energy. And yet at the same time, your ruling planet, which has been retrograde for the last part of 2023, offers you an opportunity to really assess your daily activities. Think about how you're spending your time, how you're communicating, who you're communicating with. Mercury rules your siblings, it rules your workmates, your teammates, your neighborhoods, your sidewalks, your roadways. I mean, it's so many things. And during this first part of the month, I think you're being offered an opportunity to really connect with a bigger part of what you want for your life. And as Mars is about to go into its exaltation, which is where Mars is a welcomed guest. Mars is in its second most influential energy when it's in exaltation. And as Mercury moves over the galactic center at 27 degrees Sagittarius, I really think this is a great time to put out to the universe what it is that you want to experience, and then open a space for the universe to allow for an experience. When Mars will enter Capricorn on the 4th. Let's move over there. Oops. And here we still see there is Mercury at 22 degrees. So for 3 or 4 days, Mercury is just standing in the sky, sort of absorbing all this new, diverse, potentially expansive information that's coming through. Let's click on Mercury real quick, and we'll see that Mercury is also making a square to Neptune at this point. And this is where any confusions can be revealed, where potentially, and when I say confusions, I almost feel as if this could potentially be your own feelings of indecision, of not being sure, of being able to see both sides of a situation or contemplate both sides of a situation, so much so that it almost puts you in a state of confusion. Now, Mercury is also making a very favorable aspect to Eris, which is the little sister of Mars. Mars has just moved into its exaltation, where it's going to be very powerful, start building from a strategic position versus a reactive position. We also see the North Node making a very favorable aspect to Mercury. So while Mercury is still in its place of not feeling respected, Mercury gets an opportunity to decide, is that just an old habit that I feel? Have I evolved beyond that? And how can I stand in greater alliance with my own hopes and dreams? Aries is very, some people say Aries is selfish, but Aries is very pioneering. It's very, in many ways, forward thinking. It's willing to go into the unknown and break ground. And we see Mars moving into its exaltation. While it's not necessarily in aspect to the North Node, it is the ruler of the North Node. And we see here that Mercury is making a favorable aspect to the South Node as well. So this is really an opportunity to review where you have been, the people you've been interacting with, if they are aligned and creating harmony in your life, or if you want to think about adjusting things in a new direction. We also see on this day that Mars is making a very favorable aspect to both Jupiter, that has gone direct, as well as Saturn. And this is very powerful because when you take brave action through all that you've assessed, and again, I want to sort of, I think it's the 11th, Mercury will be conjunct the galactic center on the 11th of January. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but now I'm going to move on to Mars, because we think of Mars and Saturn in some opposite ways. Mars wants to move fast, wants to take action, almost reactive action. And Saturn is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's review the history of things. Let's slow our roll. Let's put, long-lasting structure into a situation. And that's where I think this is so favorable, because this aspect to Jupiter in Taurus is a building energy, and it's an opportunity to expand my world, how I am. And when I'm taking methodical and consistent and disciplined action, both these planets will reward me as I move forward. And we also see right now that this is in the 6th house of this particular chart, which actually is not Gemini rising. But anyway, I'll go on now. We have, yes, on the 11th, we move to the 11th. Here's where we see Mercury at the on the exact day of the galactic center. I want to offer, the couple days before and a couple days after, this is a really good time for walking meditations to allow travel and movement, but awareness. And in the awareness, you can get signs and omens from the universe as to what is the next inspired action. We are seeing Mars is very much in Capricorn now at the 5th degree. It's really, that's the Leo degree. What do I want in the way of expressing my heart? How am I taking courageous action, but action through my mind first, being aware of my mental belief, my mental vibration or frequency. We also see Venus now in the middle of Sagittarius. She is actually conjunct the great attractor, which is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. And this is where we really learn about how our thoughts are things. And the house of Sagittarius rules the connection to the angelic realm. It rules religion and the Supreme Court and publishing and branding, and rules many things. But here I want to address how Venus very much could be thinking about how to expand money, how to attract more things to her versus efforting out. Venus doesn't really actually like to effort much, really. I know, because I have Venus influencing two of my personal planets. My moon rules my moon and my sun. So I think this is a very, very powerful day to connect with spirit about your wants and your desires, about how you enjoy making money, about how you feel about comfort and luxury. And in that way, some of the brave action may be that while I'm in Capricorn with Mars, I'm allowing a pause in my physical action while I'm receiving divine inspirations. I think this is super, super powerful. We also have on this day at 3:57 a.m., let me go change the time. 3:57 a.m., we're going to see a new moon in Capricorn at the very powerful degree of Scorpio. This is essentially the most potent energy at the 20 degree. This is where the scorpionic energy has been practiced a bit. And now we are being brave about coming together in how I have been branded in life, imprinted, and I'm starting to reframe my belief system. We just saw that early. We see here with Mercury at 27 degrees earlier in the day. Here's Venus in Sagittarius at 15 degrees. So she'll move a bit this direction as we get closer to this new moon, because I think that this new moon is powerful because we're putting in the mental structure, the belief. We're aware of the belief system. Am I afraid of what I'm endeavoring? Am I hoping, or do I feel I have a certain amount of skill? What am I willing to endure in the way of discomfort to make my dreams come true? This is so powerful for me because both the Capricorn energy will demand that, as well as this scorpionic energy. And this new moon is planting the seeds of your, a new version of yourself in the darkest phase of the moon, where faith is the most required. And sometimes for Gemini, that's not the easiest thing, because you want the information. Where am I going? You rule important parts of the chart. Mercury rules Gemini as well as Virgo. So, we're looking at how our childhood Gemini has, related to our self-confidence. And as we move through the zodiac, we see Mercury again when we start to implement the workplace, right? Where we start to be of service to others, and which also affects our health, because if we're mentally stressed out, that taxes the body. So I think this is a powerful day to, again, set intentions. We see, I'm going to click on the sun, but we see there's squares to the nodes here. The nodes, when we see this Libra, this is where I've given up my power to partnership in an effort to create harmony repeatedly on a soul imprint, and my awareness of that. Maybe even, there's this energy of giving up my own sense of peace. And here we see this new moon squaring the Aries energy. And Aries, is often called selfish, harsh, the warrior. But here, this is an important dynamic for balance, is to have a certain amount of self-care and independence, and to bring a me into the partnership of a we. And these Eris is here. Eris is the little sister of Mars. She is somebody who stands up for what she believes in. And here, I think she's really been traveling with the North Node, saying, let's stand up for our dreams. Let's be an individual. Let's do us. And when we do us, we're starting to really connect to the souls that are incarnating right now as we rewrite the human structure. Hence, Pluto over here in the last degrees of Capricorn. Now, this new moon also makes a trine aspect, a favorable aspect to Uranus at the Libra degree. So if on some level you have fear about how will others respond to me if I'm too individual, or if I go rogue on them and I do things that nobody expects me to do, Uranus, this is where you really take that leap of faith for yourself, and you plant those seeds and then let them watch you develop those seeds. Okay, now we see Mercury. Now it's moving out of being in fall. So this is where, again, may not feel so respected, but on the 13th, Mercury is going to move into Capricorn. Did I get to the 13th? I did. Okay, there we go. We'll say the 14th, because I think it's later in the day. I should put this at 12 p.m. That's what I should do. Pardon me while I think as I'm speaking. Oh, there we go. See, there we go. At 12 p.m., we see Mercury at the 0 degree of Capricorn. This is a very powerful, it's on the world axis. So again, I feel like a combination of taking some time, because we're still conjunct the galactic center. The galactic center has a 3 to 5 degree orb. So you're still very much can get those downloads, those inspired thoughts. And Venus, as she's moving through Sagittarius, is here at the Libra degree on this day as well. And she is, to me, she's having broad thought. She's starting to think differently. Her philosophies are starting to shift. And she's on the Great Attractor, which has, I believe, a 10 to 12 degree orb. I could check that, but I'll do that next. But I want to offer it this way, because Venus is making a beautiful sextile to the South Node. So this is an opportunity with your new beliefs to actually create more harmony. It's almost as if you're in a situation, Gemini, where people will now start to, if you don't necessarily talk about what you want to endeavor, but you just allow yourself to have this sort of conversation with yourself, then people will watch you shift, and it'll be very powerful for you as an individual to stay aligned to your dreams. We see this favorable aspect to the North Node and to Chiron, the wound, and also Eris. Now, we do have a bit of a blind spot here with Uranus, with Venus, but I think that more is, to me, while it's a blind spot, I feel like that's where the leap of faith comes, because we're also seeing a 2.5 to Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius. So Venus is really being tasked to go into her inner knowing, into her connection with her guides, her angels, her heavenly team at this time to stay the course. And Mercury at this world access degree gives me an opportunity to have an awareness about the shift that Venus is offering me. And now I'm going to spend time again connecting with sources and energies that are larger than my own. I wanted to say this too, Gemini. Sagittarius is your 7th house. So this could very much have to do with not only partnerships, Venus rules partnership, but I for some reason think it has to do with your work. Sagittarius rules business, commerce, and expansion of that. So I think this is a real opportunity for you to take time to really assess things. And Capricorn is naturally your 8th house, and that's an opportunity to benefit, to build something through other people, clients. You know, this rules other people's money. It also rules the deepest psychology of your fears. But for some reason, I'm feeling a positive energy with Mars moving through this house of transformation. Mars is naturally the ruler of the 8th house, so there's a certain amount of familiarity. And again, here it is exalted in Capricorn. All right, so now we go to the Sun is going to be conjunct on the 19th to Pluto. This is a day that I think we will see this is a period of time, I should say, because while this is the exact conjunction, there'll be, you know, a couple days before and a couple days after when the Sun and Pluto will be in conversation. And it feels very, something on the world stage will happen, or something will go on. I think we'll see things trending on Yahoo, or there'll be things in the news. Hopefully, maybe we'll see the end of some wars, but we could see the beginning of some disagreements on a world stage. Maybe it's even in how people are taking action, because we're at the 29th degree here. That's really close to, or I'm sorry, it's the 29th degree is the Leo degree. It's a sign, it's the degree of leadership, courage of the heart, and it's at the master. The 29 reduces down to an 11. So the mastering of your leadership is the ebb and the flow of the human experience and that awareness. I think that's super important. And on this day, while these two are conjunct, we also see Mercury, your ruling planet, again, making a favorable aspect to Saturn. So they've been in a conversation for quite some time. And I want to say this because while Saturn has been in Pisces, I believe Saturn is asking those that have been standing in awareness to put roots down, to start to build strong structures on your dreams, your hopes, your creativity. And I believe that Saturn will show reward for that once you implement that disciplined mental alignment. Because we see a nice, beautiful trine here, almost exact, or it is exact here with Jupiter and Mercury. And then we also see Mars still in conversation with Mercury. So I think that's important. I'm not going to address the moon. It moves too quickly. On the 20th, we will see the sun move into Aquarius completely. That conversation begins or continues on. And on the 21st, Pluto re-enters Aquarius. And that's going to affect all the fixed signs. It will square it will square Scorpio and Taurus, and it will oppose Leo. I think this is really a powerful, that 0 degree is what they call the ingress degree. It's like being birthed. And I feel like all the information that you've been garnishing over this last year is now going to be, meaning in 2023, you will then start to strategically implement in 2024. We see Venus here. She's on the galactic center. So that's a powerful point. And this won't happen again for a year, maybe 2 years. About a year. Venus can take up to 2 months to go through a sign. But anyway, I digress. Excuse me. What else do I want to say about this day? Pluto re-enters. Oh, we go to the 23rd and Venus enters Capricorn. Now here, this is what the stellium is. It's 3 personal planets in one sign. Here, there's a lot of thought, a lot of beginning to, Venus is not in her most favorable energy in Capricorn. She feels a little buttoned up. She feels like she's got to, put on the proper attire for every outing. And it's just not, it's not her most stylish spot. I'll put it that way. But here, I think as she is, in a loose conversation with Mercury and Mars, which have been conversing for quite some time because they traveled all the way through Scorpio together, then Sagittarius at the end of 2023, really digging deep into that personal psychology. What do I believe about myself? What do I really believe about my potentials, my opportunities? How brave am I to get through my own obstacles? Because this is where Pluto, who rules liberation and rebellion, and also hopes and dreams. Naturally, Aquarius is the 11th house, which trines Gemini nicely. And as you engage with more and more, focused thought on your dreams and what you would like to experience, not what you have experienced or what you feel in the way of potentials or your history. And I want to offer this because having this information ahead of time, your meditations while Venus is on the galactic center, while she's on the great attractor, Mercury being there, and Mars, you can use those energies to really harness and connect and set intentions that become very powerful experiences for you moving forward. Okay, now on the Venus will as she moves into Capricorn deeper and deeper, she will make a trine to Jupiter. So we've seen Mars make that trine to Jupiter. We now, we saw Mercury make that trine. So this is an expansive way of behaving, meaning Mars being the peaceful warrior. I'm not dumbing down my Mars energy. I just know how to use my sword with more skill. Now I'm aware of my thought process, and I'm not villainizing my everyday fears and thoughts, but rather asking if they work and align me to the deeper truth of who and what I want. And then we have Venus offering me an opportunity when I put that mental and brave structure of Mars and Mercury into my daily practice. Venus will start to build monetary reward. And it's not always easy because, again, we have this feeling of tension with the nodes. The nodes are emotional points. They are the nodes of the moon, and they rule our karmic dynamic. The north node is what we're stretching to experience. The south node is what we're used to experiencing. And Gemini, this is at the Libra degree on this particular day. And this is really about balance, right? It's not about trying to release anything or let go of anything, but rather transforming it into wisdom. And the wisdom is, how can I turn that into a tool that then, if this experience shows up again somehow in my life, I'm better equipped to consciously act upon it. Now we have on the 25th, a full moon in Leo. That is at, oh, dang it, I forgot to write down the time again. It's going to be at 5 degrees. So I'm just off a little bit here with this 12 p.m. time. But what I want to offer is this full moon is bringing some sort of illumination. And again, Leo rules creativity. It rules your self-expression. It rules leadership. It rules the conception of children. It rules romance. It rules high school kids. It rules your heart and having the courage to stand for your heart. And I think that's what this whole beginning of the year for you is about. And it isn't about being able to identify in your everyday world where those pieces are just yet. This is where you let the universe do its magic as you focus and you kick in those divine laws of attraction, because this full moon is going to illuminate something. The sun is still in a fairly tight conversation with Pluto, transforming something, bringing something from the dark into the light. And then the sun is in a square to Jupiter. So this is, again, it could be a transformation of your belief system. It could be you find out something about a business partner or about other people that wasn't actually completely aligned. You may even discover something about yourself. You might have started something thinking, oh, this is going to be great, but inadvertently you were hiding behind your co-creation. You were giving the power to someone else and hoping that, through that experience, you would be able to shine. And if for any reason you're dumbing down or tucking under somebody or not letting yourself completely blossom, I think it'll be exposed during this full moon, or at least the emotional part for you will be. And then we go to the last day I thought was important is the 27th. And on this day, we see Uranus making a very favorable aspect to your ruling planet, and Mars at the Leo degree, and Venus is at the Leo degree. So this is the first version of the Leo degree that we experience when we walk through the degrees of each house. And here's that intermediate time. And it culminates with the 29th degree, really actualizing our leadership. So here, I think that Uranus, while it's making sort of a challenging square and a half to Venus, it is making such favorable aspects to Mercury and Mars that it almost makes me feel as if you're testing your devotion to your own vision of your life. And it might be making you uncomfortable still, because Uranus is a little bit edgy and can bring on anxiety. And yet there's something about this that makes me feel like you're brave in that action. You're like, okay, let's see if this works. Let's do an experiment. And I think this would be a really powerful month for you when you when you take these dynamics, especially the transit of Mercury over the galactic center and Venus over the great attractor and the galactic center. And Mars is even there, but Mars is there the shortest period of time this month. So you can really harness these energies to set up a great template for moving forward in 2024. All right, that's it for my Gemini risings. Again, Gemini moon, Gemini sun. This is applicable to you as well. And Gemini stelliums. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I am available. My information is below. Shoot me an email and I will give you all the particulars. And please join me on Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do angel readings, we pull a tarot card, and we get advice from Spirit on how to traverse the transits ahead. All right, everybody, have a great beginning of 2024. Sending lots of love to you.